Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. It is the game preview. We are only a matter of hours away from Everton's Premier League game against Crystal Palace tonight at Goodison Park. Apologies that this preview is extremely late. Obviously, typically we like to get these done a couple of days before the game, but I've had an absolutely manic few days, an absolutely manic weekend, and I just didn't get a chance to sit down and do this video, so I apologize. We are here, like I said, it is only a couple of hours before the game, so the benefit to doing a preview this late is that we pretty much know everything that we are going to know going into the game. We know obviously the latest on injury news. The manager had his pre-game press conference a couple of days ago. We spoke about Abdoulaye Doucouré potentially being back for this game. However, as I said, I'm sure we'll wait and see in an hour's time whether or not that is the case. There has been a few rumours floating around social media over the last 24 hours or so regarding James Tarkowski. We're not going to talk too much on them because they are just that at the moment, rumours. As I said, I'm sure we'll find out an awful lot more as to whether or not those rumours are true within the next couple of hours or so when the team news is released. But like I said, I do apologise that this video is a little bit late, unfortunately. I just didn't get a chance to sit down and do it at the weekend. But this is a huge game of football. One thing I do want to say before we go into talking about this is I just want to wish Crystal Palace manager, or is he an ex-Crystal Palace manager now? So probably. Roy Hodgson a very speedy recovery. Obviously, he took ill in training a number of days ago, and Palace didn't release an update on what was going on. There was rumours in the media about him being replaced anyway because of their poor form and their run of poor results of late, but nothing was announced and nothing was spoken about other than an announcement that he'd taken ill during training. And I believe they've announced today that he will be stepping down from his duties and their new manager will take over tomorrow. So still no new manager in the dugout for them tonight, but I just want to wish Roy Hodgson a very speedy recovery on whatever it is that he is suffering with at the moment. But yeah, this is a huge game for Everton tonight. There's no two ways about it. For me, there's absolutely no two ways about it, and I know that the feeling going into this one is potentially being dampened a little bit by those Tarkowski rumours, reports suggesting that he has picked up an injury and will be unavailable for this one. Like I said, I'm not going to talk too much about it because it's completely unconfirmed at the moment. Everton did put up a graphic a couple of hours ago discussing this game, and James Tarkowski was the player featured on the graphic. Now, that might just be a coincidence, and that might be a case of the graphic was already made before the injury happened, but half an hour ago they put up a graphic talking about how dominant Everton are. Everton are the only team in the Premier League yet to concede a headed goal so far this season, with James Tarkowski as the background. Now, that might just be a case of that they wanted to post that stat, and James Tarkowski is one of the two centre-halves responsible for that being the case, and therefore they put him there. Or it might be a hint towards the potential that he's okay and he's available, but we won't know that until 7 o'clock when the team news is announced. So there's not much point talking about it too much. What there is, a point to talk about is how important of a game of football this is for Everton Football Club. This, for me, is an absolute must-win, and there's no two ways about it. And I know people will say, "Oh, Cam, every game at the moment's a must-win. We should be going out and picking up points, every week, or certainly hope to pick up points every week." But this one, for me specifically, sticks out as a game of football that Everton absolutely have to win. We've had a couple of performances of late where we've dug deep, we've got involved, we've stuck in. We haven't necessarily been brilliant, and we haven't necessarily had a lot of quality, but we've come away with a point. We come away with a point against Brighton, maybe a little bit unlucky on that day. Obviously, we got a point against Aston Villa as well. And, in those games, we never really looked like we were, completely dominant, or we were ever going to go and wipe the floor with the opposition side. And maybe that's just because of where we are at the moment and injuries and lack of any real momentum. But the reality of the situation is Everton haven't won a Premier League game since December. We are now in mid-February. It's been nearly 2 months, probably maybe over 2 months since Everton last won a Premier League game of football. Now, okay, we've beaten this Crystal Palace side at Goodison Park, and I suppose the big benefit for me today isn't the fact that Crystal Palace haven't got a manager, it's the fact that their three best players are out injured in Elise, Eze and Gay, so that gives Everton a huge boost. But like I said, there's certain games that you look at and I think you think, yeah, I expect us to win today, and if we don't win, it would be a little bit of a disappointment. This for me today, if I walk out of Goodison Park tonight with anything other than 3 points, I'll be hugely frustrated, because these are the types of games you've got to win. We sat down a week or so ago and we spoke about Everton's remaining fixtures, and a lot of those games we've got left to play at Goodison Park are very favourable. Okay, granted, we've got some difficult away games, teams like Brighton, obviously Manchester United. We know we've got to play Newcastle away as well. I think we've got Chelsea away to play, but you look at our home fixtures, Palace, West Ham, okay, the Merseyside derby, we'll put that to one side. Burnley, Forest, Brentford, and Sheffield United. There's games there that Everton absolutely have to win, and I don't think there's anything wrong with looking towards a game of football and stating that it's a game that 3 points is the only acceptable outcome. And for me, today is one of them. I mean, if you look where Crystal Palace are in the Premier League table, it currently sits 16th, their worst season in quite some years, and they are within danger of being dragged into that relegation battle come the last couple of months of the season. They've had 6 wins this season, 6 draws, 12 defeats, 24 points. They sit 5 points above Everton at the moment, who obviously sit on 19, but as we've spoken about before, dependent on the outcome of the appeal, Everton may get some points back and therefore climb the table. We may not get any points back, but the reality of the situation, as I've said numerous times over the last couple of weeks, is we have to, for me, take the stance at this moment that we aren't getting any points back, because the reality is we don't know. We don't know whether we will or not. There's a lot of rumours floating around social media at the moment. I think Sky done an article yesterday saying that Everton expect to find out within the next 24 to 48 hours what the outcome is. But, there's a lot of stuff, doing the rounds about Everton getting 4 points back, maybe Everton getting 6 points back, maybe Everton getting all 10 points back. The reality is, until that announcement is made, I think we have to adopt a mentality that we're not going to get any back, and therefore we are where we are, and we're going to be where we are, come the end of the last few months of the season, and therefore games like this against sides that are in and around the same position as what we are, and will be, for me, I think Crystal Palace will be in that relegation fight come the last few weeks. I'm not saying they'll go down, but I definitely think they'll be in the mix, in the final stretch of the season. You have to be beating those teams at Goodison Park. You have to be taking all 3 points. And, like I said, I'm sure a lot of us would rather the majority of the games we've got left to play at home to be away from home, because we've been much better away from home than at home this season. But when I look at those fixtures, I don't particularly fear. I'm not particularly scared. I'm not particularly worried or anxious, because even with the points deduction, now obviously, if Everton were to get another points deduction, let's say for the second charge, then I think we'd all pretty much admit we were out of it at that point, and we'd have to start preparing for life in the Championship. But even if Everton don't get any points back, which is a possibility, given we all know that there is it's definitely not as clean and fair as the Premier League likes to make out it is. But even if Everton don't get any points back, so you think we've still got to play Palace at home, we've still got to play Sheffield United at home, we've got to play Brentford at home, we've got to play Forest at home. I mean, there's what, 4 teams, Sheffield United, Forest, Burnley, Brentford and Palace, who are all in that sort of cohort of sides that will be in and around those areas. Now, I'm not saying Brentford will go down or Palace will go down or whatever it might be, but, Palace on 24 points, Forest on 24 points, Brentford on 25 points, Burnley on 13 points, and Sheffield United on 13 points. We've got to play every single one of those teams at Goodison Park between now and the end of the season, and I think I said a couple of times over the last couple of years, in the lead up to big games against Leeds at home last year, for example. I think I said in the lead up to those games, if we don't beat these teams, and if we can't beat these teams, then we can't really sit here as a fan base and say that we absolutely deserve to be in this division. Now, this season's a little bit different because of the points deduction, of course, and the effect the points deduction has had on us. We shouldn't be anywhere near that relegation battle. We shouldn't be worrying about it. But the fact of the matter is, we've still got 5 games there that I think Everton should be winning at Goodison Park. No, I'm not saying we will win all 5, and I know that the probability of that is extremely low, and I know that a lot of that rides on injuries and fitness of players and availability of players, and I get that. But I just think Forest, Palace tonight, Burnley, and Sheffield United have to be 4 wins. The Brentford game, give or take. The Liverpool game probably will be pushed to one side and forgotten about, won't it? Let's be honest. And that's not me being negative. That's just me being realistic. And that isn't counting the fact that we've got a couple of away games in there that we could pick up points in. There's no reason we can't go to Stamford Bridge and pick up points, and with the form that Chelsea are in, there's no reason we can't go away to Brighton and pick up points. We've won there twice in the last 2 seasons. So I think not only is there more than enough points on the available to play for that Everton can pick up, to not be in a worrying position come the last couple of weeks of the season, but we should be picking up those points as well. We've got a lot of games there that there can be no excuses for, and I get why people are worried and I get why people are anxious, because they're the types of games that Everton usually trip up in. I'm sure some people would rather us play United, Tottenham and Chelsea at home in the last few weeks of the season, because they're the types of games we get ourselves up for. But I watched Sheffield United yesterday and they are absolutely horrific. I watched Burnley, at the weekend, and I've watched Burnley a couple of times recently, and they are absolutely horrific. Forest, Brentford, one minute they can be terrible, 1 minute they can be great. Palace at the moment are absolutely shocking, but there's 2 or 3 games there that there's no excuse. If Everton walk away from Goodison Park on that night we play Burnley, or on that night we play Sheffield United, and we haven't won that game, then it's our own doing, isn't it? It's the fault of our own. And at the end of the day, as Sean Dyche has said from pretty much day one, and continues to say now, even after the points deduction, even after the the relegation battle last season and everything that's gone on, he's always very consistent in his message that our job is to win games of football, and whatever goes on off the pitch goes on off the pitch, and we'll deal with that in due course. But our number one job and task is to win games of football. And I think when you look at some of the fixtures Everton have got before now and the end of the season at Goodison, if that is the primary focus, which it is and it should be, and it has been from day one for the manager, then Everton should be winning those games. And I get that it's not as easy as that, and I get that it's not as easy as saying, well, we're better than them teams, so therefore we should be winning those games. But there's 6 points there that Everton have got to play for at home. Today, for me, is an absolute must-win. There's, as I said, anything less than a win today would be an absolute disaster. But those games against Burnley and Sheffield United, if we walk away with anything less than 6 points from them games, then we have to stand up and say we're at our own doing here. I get we've got injuries. I get we've got players that won't be available or suspended or whatever it should be. I get that. But this could come back to bite me on the arse, but I don't really care. Those 2 sides are absolutely horrific. And it made me laugh because the other week, I seen a tweet when Holgate had signed for Sheffield United. I seen a tweet from somebody saying, why are we letting players go to relegation rivals? It's a disgrace. What are we doing? This, that and the other. Firstly, Sheffield United aren't a relegation rival, because Sheffield United are getting relegated regardless of whether Everton get relegated or not. 3 teams go down. I keep saying this every year. 3 teams go down, not just 1 team. 3 teams go down. Sheffield United are going down whether Everton go or not. Secondly, look at the examples. I think he lost 5-0 on his debut. He played again yesterday. He lost 5-0 again yesterday, and he was sent off for an absolutely disgraceful shocking challenge. So my point is there's winnable games there, and there's games that I think we all should feel like we should be winning at Goodison. And if we don't, then we can only really look at ourselves then, unless obviously there's a bit of a bit of ongoings on the pitch with refereeing decisions or whatever, which could be the case as well. But this is one of those games for me today. No disrespect to Crystal Palace. I think Crystal Palace are a decent club and a well-supported club, and obviously, have had a number of years in the Premier League now where they've sort of always just been in and around mid-table. I seen a thread on Twitter. Michael says new manager bounce too. They haven't got a new manager yet. He doesn't start officially till tomorrow. The managers in the dugout today, I believe, are the assistants to Roy Hodgson. Roy Hodgson won't be there because obviously of his illness. But it will be his assistants today, and then the new manager takes over tomorrow. So there is no new manager bounce unless he's phoned them all the players up, which is possible, and give them a team talk. He hasn't even met them to my knowledge yet. So, but yeah, Palace are one of those sides that seem to win about 4 games every season, but are always mid-table and never really in any threat of going down. This season is obviously different. They are in a position where they could potentially get dragged into a relegation battle, and we need to make sure that when they come to Goodison Park tonight, we make it absolutely horrific for them, because we need to win this game, and we need to win this game more than what Crystal Palace do. As I said, we can't. I know that there's a lot of promise with the appeal at the moment, and I know that there's a lot of. I feel like the general feeling is confidence at the moment. I feel like a lot of Evertonians are confident in the fact that we will get something back. I don't think anybody thinks we'll get all 10 points back, but I think there's a lot of confidence that we'll get, at least 4 back, which would be huge given the position that we're in. It would be absolutely huge, but we also need to focus on winning games of football, because we're not going to get enough points back to mean that we don't have to win another game this season to stay up. We still need to win games of football, and this for me is a huge opportunity against a team with the majority of their top players out injured, and no manager, and a team that are in absolutely horrific form. And even regardless if they had some form of new manager bounce because the new manager's watching or they want to impress him, it can't be, we can't sit here and say, oh, well, they've got a new manager, so they'll win the game. We have to want to win this more, regardless of whether they've got a new manager or not. We need to go out and win this game of football. We need to. We absolutely need to. If Crystal Palace win this game of football tonight, they will go to 27 points, which is 8 points ahead of Everton. Now, okay, if we get some points back, that doesn't seem like a huge gap, but that's quite a significant gap in the middle of February. We can't allow that to happen, and as I said, for me, this is one of those games. It's very black and white. This Everton have got to win this game of football. We played Crystal Palace a couple of times of late. Obviously, we beat them in the league, away from home. Very different circumstances. They had a couple of their players available, and it was a very back and forth game. But when we played them twice in the cup of recent, I thought both games were horrendous. I thought both teams in both games were poor. Now, obviously, we won the replay at Goodison thanks to an Andre Gomez free kick, but both times it wasn't a particularly entertaining game of football, and I don't think Crystal Palace were great on either occasion, and I think today it's a very similar Crystal Palace. It's a Crystal Palace without Eze. It's a Crystal Palace without Elise. I think Eze even played on that day that we beat them in the cup because he was taken off, weren't he? And yeah, that might mean that there's a couple of young players there that are trying to, grab their opportunity and impress their new manager. But for me, there's just no excuse today. It gets to a stage, I think, with certain games and certain fixtures and certain times of the season where there's absolutely no excuse. There's no way Everton can not want this game more than Crystal Palace tonight. And that's no disrespect to Crystal Palace. That's just how important this game is to Everton. It will be tough. Of course it will be tough because it's a huge pressured game. Both teams are desperate for a win. Both teams are dying for a win. Absolutely dying for a win. So it will be a difficult game, and I don't expect Everton to wipe the floor with Crystal Palace because we're not in particularly great form either. Like I said, we haven't won a Premier League game since December. So I don't think it's going to be a case of us turning up and absolutely wiping the floor with them. Plus, we can't score at the moment. And I suppose the hope is that we'll be sitting here in an hour's time, reading the team sheet, and Abdoulaye Doucouré's name will be on it because he seems to be the only person in this squad at the moment that is capable of creating opportunities for Everton to score. But yeah, it is. This is huge. This is huge, and like I said, if we win those games at Goodison that we should be winning, against sides that are, are not particularly great sides, or have got injuries, or have got issues like Palace have, then we will be okay this season. We will be absolutely okay. But it's not. We've still got to play. So if you look at the bottom 10 from Chelsea downwards, we've still got to play Chelsea. We've still got to play Bournemouth, I believe. We've still got to play Bournemouth away? Or am I making that up? No, I was making that up. Oh, no, we have. We've still got to play Bournemouth away. So we've still got to play Chelsea. We've still got to play Bournemouth. We've still got to play Brentford. We've still got to play Palace. We've still got to play Luton. We've still got to play Burnley. And we've still got to play Sheffield United. So everyone, barring Wolves in that bottom 10, Everton have still got to play in some capacity. The majority of those games are at Goodison. If you can't beat those teams that are in and around you, then you will be relegated. And I suppose, much like it was on the final day of the season last season, it's very much in Everton's hands at the moment. I think I think a large part of our form at the moment, and the fact that we haven't won a lot of games at the minute, and the fact that we seem to be struggling is confidence. I think it is confidence. I think we've seen a very similar side to this side that we've seen recently put really good performances in and win games comfortably. Now, okay, the absence of Abdoulaye Doucouré is a huge absence, and the minute he's back, whether that be tonight or in next week, is huge. Same with Amadou Onana. To think that there's still Evertonians that don't rate Amadou Onana is baffling to me, because he is our best midfielder by far, technically. And the moment those two are back in the team, we are a much better side, granted. But I do think there is a confidence issue at the moment. I think players like Dwight McNeil, Jack Harrison, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, I think they're all struggling for confidence. And I think what they need is that one win. Dom gets a goal today, even if it comes off his arse, even if it comes off his back, doesn't matter how it comes. If Dom gets a goal today, then all of a sudden his confidence levels rise massively. Same with Dwight McNeil, same with Jack Harrison. So, I get it, and I appreciate we haven't been in great form recently, and we do absolutely need Doucouré and Onana back. I understand that, but I do think there's a case of that this current squad as well. If it can get a bit of confidence and get a bit of momentum and start to feel good about itself again, a win, get a win today, and then you all of a sudden you're looking and going, okay, do you know what? We've got Brighton at the weekend, which will be difficult, but we've won there the last 2 seasons on the bounce, and we're much better away from home this season than we have been in either of them 2 seasons. Then we've got West Ham at home, very winnable game. They've had a couple of really poor results recently. Their manager's under pressure. Okay, United away and the Merseyside derby may be 2 that we sort of just try and get something out of. But then Bournemouth away, big opportunity. Bournemouth are a good side, to be fair, and doing well. And then you've got Newcastle away, Burnley at home, Chelsea away, and then those last 4 games of the season for me: Forest at home, Brentford at home, Luton away, Sheffield United away, and hopefully we're out of it by Arsenal away. But those last 4 before Arsenal away are huge, absolutely huge, and there's no way Everton should be walking away from those 4 fixtures with any less than 8 points, in my opinion. It's as simple as that. And we've still got a lot of winnable games to come before that as well. So, yeah, this one, it won't be easy. I'm not expecting Everton to turn up and roll over Crystal Palace, because A, that never happens, and B, they are as desperate for a win as what we are. But the reality is we've got to win. We've absolutely got to win. Like I said, forget the points deduction at the moment. Imagine how good we'd feel, and this is completely hypothetical, by the way, because I don't know when the announcement will be for the appeal. I don't know when that will come out, but imagine how good it would feel if we were sitting here tomorrow afternoon, Everton had just beaten Crystal Palace 3-0, for example. Really good performance, really good really good results, and then we're sitting there tomorrow having our breakfast or whatever, and we get the notification Everton have got 4 points back, or Everton have got, let's say 5, because it's a round number, for example, 5 points back. All of a sudden, Everton are 8 points better off than what we are currently sitting now. Now, that mightn't be the case, because we mightn't get the points back, and it mightn't be announced tomorrow, but 8 points would put us on 27 points, which would put us just behind Bournemouth in 14th, just above Brentford. Which would be, 27 points. That would be 7 points clear of Luton, who would drop into the relegation zone. That is huge. Absolutely huge. And again, I'm not saying that will happen or that will be the case, but that is a possible outcome, and it would be absolutely massive. Absolutely massive. So, yeah, really, really big game. You know, I understand the performances of late haven't been good enough. I get Dom is low on confidence. I get Beto is seemingly not much more improved than what he was when he walked through the door. I get that we've been absolutely toothless up front in the last few weeks, and we've been absolutely we've been blunt up front, but that has to change at some point. You know, the reality is Abdoulaye Doucouré comes back into this team, and yes, we are a much, much better team, of course we are, but he's not a centre-forward, he's not a winger. You know, Onana comes back into the team, yes, we are a much, much better side, but he's not going to be scoring 2 or 3 goals a game, is he? Whatever the outcome is, and even when we get these players back, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Jack Harrison, Dwight McNeil, Arnold Danjuma, whoever else plays in that front sort of 5, needs to pick themselves up and needs to be better. And I think what better way to kickstart that than going out today, putting a performance in and getting a big result. Let's go through the team news then before we finish up. In goal, I'm going to go for Jordan Pickford, of course. Left back, Vitaly Mykolenko. 2 centre-backs. I am going to go Tarkowski and Branthwaite. I know there's rumours about Tarkowski before people say, Tarkowski's injured, but that isn't confirmed yet. And will be confirmed within the next hour and 7 minutes when the team news comes out. If he is injured, it will likely be Michael Keane. I don't think I'd go with Godfrey and Branthwaite as a partnership because I think they're both... I don't know. I'm not sure there's enough experience there, and I get that Michael Keane isn't great or particularly experienced, but I just think he's more like Tarkowski than what Godfrey is. And then I think it'll be Coleman right back. I think if Coleman's fit and available, he's in there at right back. Midfield, again, talk about Onana potentially being back, talk about Doucouré being back. I'm gonna go with James Garner and Onana, even though that is slightly harsh on Idrissa Gana Gueye, who has been absolutely unbelievable of lately, by the way. And I've got no problem with him starting. And I'm going to go the assumption that Abdoulaye Doucouré is available in the 10. And then the front 3, I think, will be the same. McNeil, Harrison and Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And like I said, again, we've not been great up front, and those players have been at fault, and those players have been responsible for not taking their chances or not doing the most. But the reality is we can't just change all 4 of them. We're not in a position to say, right, okay, we'll take all 4 of them out and we'll replace them with another 4. So regardless of Doucouré being back or Onana being back or us getting any points back or us playing, a load of teams we think we should get results against, those players have got to step up. Absolutely got to step up, and hopefully tonight is the night that they do that. Jack asks if I'm going. Yes, I will be there tonight, mate. I will be there tonight. Emma says, I doubt we will. I think this is a Hill Masters has prepared it. Well, according to Richard Masters himself, he doesn't make that decision. So he isn't in control at this point. It's an independent committee, appeal committee. So Masters. I said this. I think when the news of the first points deduction was put out there, Richard Masters won't be in a job in the next 12 months. Certainly won't be in a job in the Premier League. The amount of negative press the Premier League has had over the last few months, we've now heard in reports that multiple Premier League teams, up to 6-7 Premier League teams, have come together to form issues with the Premier League over various different things. He won't be in a job in the next 12 months, so I wouldn't worry about that. Newtile says, if I'm being honest, I see it being a 0-0. That would be a terrible result for me. Absolutely terrible result for me. Everton have got to win this game. I don't care if it's 1-0. I don't care if it's 10-0. Everton have got to win this game. And the Blue says he's not a winger or a striker. But yeah, I agree. And if he's fit, he should absolutely be in there, by the way. But my point is that we can't expect him to drag us through between now and the end of the season. Everybody else has got to pick themselves up and chip in. There you go. there you go. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. We'll be back with obviously the post-match content after the game, so look out for those videos. But yeah, big game this for me today, and like I said, it's very. I'm autistic, so I like it when it's black and white. I like it when it's a clear objective. And for me today, if Everton don't win this game, I think it's a big, big missed opportunity, and I think it would be a really, really poor result. Even if we get a draw, I still think that's a really poor result when you consider the fact that we're desperate for the win, and this is a Palace side that are screaming out to be beaten and have been screaming out to be beaten for a number of weeks now. And that's not disrespecting them. That's just me seeing saying what I've seen from them in recent weeks. So there you go. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you have enjoyed this one, please do leave a like. It does mean a lot to me. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe. I apologise that the content has maybe dropped a little bit over the last few weeks, and I think I had a comment the other day saying, "Oh, you're always negative. I'd watch it if you weren't too negative." I've addressed this before, and I will address it again. I will never come on this channel or any YouTube channel for that matter, but definitely not this channel with it being my own, and lie or blag or try and act a certain way that I don't feel. I'll never come on and say, "Oh, this is amazing. What a wonderful game of football that was. What a brilliant position Everton in at the moment," if I'm sitting there deep down thinking this is terrible. This is absolutely terrible. So as I've said before, the way I will run this channel is either I won't upload if I don't think what I've got to say will have a positive impact, or I will upload, but it will be how I feel. It won't be sugar-coated or positive for the sake of trying to sugarcoat this fake world that people live in. Life isn't all roses and peanut butter. It isn't great, and for Evertonians at the moment, it's fucking shite. So most of the time we're talking about Everton, it will be in a negative tone because there's not much positive to talk about. Let's hope that we're sitting here at 10:30, 11 o'clock tonight with something really positive to talk about. And you know full well, if you've watched this channel for any amount of time, you'll know full well if Everton win that game of football today, I'll be on here with a big smile on my face talking about all the positives. So, there you go. If you've enjoyed it, please leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe if you are new. Big thank you all for watching, and I'll see you later.